Parent Entrepreneur Power. Conversation number 188.
Parent Entrepreneur
did you get the
Power.
message?
Wait, what? Entrepreneur Power!
This is the podcast for parents juggling the tough choices required for success in business while putting family first. Hi, I'm Mary Catherine Johnson, and I share the ups and downs and dirty truths of profits and potty training while chatting with successful parent entrepreneurs from all walks of life. Are you powered up? Hey there, Power Parents. Guess who? You know me, Mary Catherine Johnson here. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to today's episode. It is really something that is near and dear to my heart. It's not going to be an interview, so if you're expecting to listen to someone else's voice other than mine, then you can either listen some other time or hang on tight, because I'm going to share with you a few things that I've learned recently with this rocket ship I've been on called Messenger. Don't worry, I'm not going to try and sell you on it. I'm not going to try and tell you to do it. I'm not going to try any of those things. The title of this show is called The Message. And there's a reason for that, because I finally got the message that made all the difference in my life. I'm writing a book about that. My good buddy, Pat Flynn, has a new product that he is creating, and I'm a beta tester of it. It's amazing. Basically, it's helping me get really laser focused and get this draft done within 90 days. Okay? 90 days. Woo! All right. So this is what I want to talk about. The topic of this book, and basically I'm going to read to you a little bit of what I've been writing, and hopefully with the idea that you will find it valuable in really taking a look at the next thing that presents itself to you to take you off track from your goal. Because I'm telling you one thing, I have had so many people, now that I'm in this whole messenger world and I've created a pretty amazing success so far, at least amazing to me. No, I'm not in the six-figure club yet. I'm not in with some big fancy gurus flying to wherever I'd be flying to. I'm talking about success for me that is just extraordinary. I am absolutely loving what I do, and the results for my clients are absolutely incredible. And it would not have happened if I didn't take that message that I got and reply. You'll know what I mean in just a second. So let me start you off with this, okay? If you're looking for a millionaire guru or expert or someone to give you the exact steps you need to take where you are now and make $1 million by next year this time, and then give you links to resources you need to make it happen even faster, well, this is not the right podcast for you. Go listen to something else. There are plenty of resources from those kinds of people online that lead to their amazing discounted online course that takes you step by step through everything you need to know how to do. What we're going to talk about today has no sweet Kool-Aid in it. No sweet Kool-Aid promises that say, if you only do what I say, you'll have what I have. Because you can't have what I have. What I have is part of my life. You need to look at your life. So what I mean by that is, did you get married at 19 to your first boyfriend you met when you were 16? Did you go to a community college for 4 years trying to figure out what the heck you wanted to study for a career? Did you then graduate from UC Berkeley with a degree in nutrition and food science while your husband attended and graduated from UC Santa Barbara and only came home every 6 to 8 weeks for 2 years? Did you wait 15 years to have children, then suffer 2 miscarriages over the course of 2 years to finally deliver your first incredible son after being hospitalized with early labor when you were 35? Did you fall while you were 8 months pregnant with your second incredible son and break both of your legs? Then go through labor and delivery and care of your newborn toddler husband and home while hobbling through life with a pink cast on one leg up to the knee and a blue cast on the other because you didn't know what gender the baby was? Did you give confidence to yourself because of that situation? the confidence you needed to start your first business, the first novelty maternity store online in 2003? Did the 4 years of 2008 recession almost completely destroy your family with $40,000 in debt that you paid off by liquidating your 401k and savings? Did you write a book about your 2 broken legs while 8 months pregnant story that inspired people to choose the parenting path that was right for them and not just follow along with everyone else going to a job and putting their kids in daycare? Did you then start a podcast sharing your stories and experiences raising 2 sons while building that first business that further inspired you and your listeners to embrace everyone's unique path to success, no matter the twists and turns? And hint, that's the podcast you're listening to right now. Did you interview over 200 incredible parent entrepreneurs who showed you and your listeners how to create a successful life and business by intentionally assessing and choosing from the many messages we all get every day? And did you finally get the enthusiastic message and then enthusiastically reply to that message that changed your trajectory and showed you which messages you should really pay attention to, embrace, and reply to? And then, did you build a business that generated over $70,000 in its first 6 months and is now on track for $210,000 in its first 12 months? No, those things didn't happen to you. Some of those things might have, but not in that order and not all of those. They all happened to me. And they took 14 years of responding to the wrong messages and not listening to the right ones, and finally having the courage to know and accept the difference to create that first amazing 12 months of success. And guys, I'm in month 7 of that 6 months. So you can, however, have something similar happen to you that's based on your life. And that is what I want to share with you. Okay? I want to show you how to pay attention to each message and decide if you will reply. And that word reply is important. When you pay attention to the messages you receive every day and decide whether or not to accept them and reply by weighing them against your goals, dreams, strengths, values, and family, you can create incredible personal and entrepreneurial success. I hate to break the news to you, but there are no overnight successes or easy roads or quick fixes to important problems. Every famous person, every online guru, every expert you've ever looked up to or learned from has taken a long, twisty, rocky road less traveled. Rocky road? Yeah, no. I can't do ice cream right now. I got to stay on focus here. But no, they've taken that twisty, rocky road that looks just like everyone else's except for one very important part. They chose to reply to certain messages that opened very important doors leading to the next step in their success journey. Now, please understand, I'm not saying every message led to a successful next step. We know that, right? Many messages lead to dead ends, even disastrous, dangerous places that require a U-turn to hightail it back to the last message. You see, you and I and everyone on the planet gets messages every day on which direction we should turn on the road of our life's journey. Are you ready to finally understand which ones are the perfect ones for you to reply to that will lead to exactly where you want to go in life and business? Okay, I hope so. Because you know what? There are messages all around us. You know, it probably started with the sellers at the city bazaars or the street vendors in the local town square. You know, they all yelled at us as we passed by on our way to the farrier to barter some farm fresh eggs for those shoes we needed for our plow horse. But like good old Jack, we might get distracted from our task at hand by that magic bean seller who promises riches beyond our wildest dreams for free plus shipping. You know what I mean, right? Just for a few little coins. Or at that time, it was probably free plus the cost of carrier pigeon shipping. But anyway, they might Okay, here's another one. So we talked about Jack and the Beanstalk, right? He passes by and he's distracted by that magic bean seller. But what about the other one that you might be distracted by? There might be a leather shop that you pass by with a strong strap hanging in the window that would be the perfect replacement for the one in the tack for our plow that is currently fraying. Now, I don't know about you, but I know about horses. Okay, I've ridden horses a lot. So tack, farrier. Okay, if you don't know those words, look them up. But they're all around horses. Now, I hope I didn't bore you with my dive into a fictional history, but I'd bet my life that these events actually happened in every town in the world at some point in the past and have continued to happen at an exponential rate with the speed and frequency of the internet. Did you notice the important distinction between the two events I outlined? You know, Jack and the Beanstalk and that strong leather strap hanging in the leather shop? Yeah. Every true entrepreneur would be attracted to those magic beans. And like Jack, we'd be tempted to trade our hard-earned, or angel investor if you're so lucky, money for the promise of riches from those beans. And like Jack, we would probably be rewarded in some way at some time in the future for our money and adventurous efforts, or at least we dream we would be and hope we would be. But there's one critical difference between you and Jack. Your goal is not adventure. It's entrepreneurial success. And if adventure is a byproduct, then so much the better. But that's not the goal. That's the goal for Jack, right? It's a story, right, people? That's what makes it exciting. The lesson is what? You interpret. But Jack didn't really want to go to the market that day to buy whatever his family needed. He was a teenager, eager to break free from his family's obligations to seek his own fortunes through adventure, right? If you're like Jack, go for it. Go for those beans, have a ball. If you're a responsible, risk-taking entrepreneur, however, then you will probably relate to the second example, and you'll stop and examine that new leather strap for the plow. Because you need your plow in working order to actually do what you know how to do to make money. There are many different examples between those two that will present worthy distractions from your current reason for being online at this moment, or in this example, your current reason for being in that bazaar or that town square, right? It was to go barter eggs, right? Remember, we were going to barter eggs for the farrier to shoe our plow horse, right? That was our goal. We got distracted. There are going to be many worthwhile distractions that you might need to see, like that strap. Each worthy example, each worthy message we choose to accept doesn't need to have only boring utility and no adventure. Entrepreneurs are in many ways alike. We all love learning new things and are easily distracted by that thing that just might be the one we need to break free from the confines of mediocrity and make it big. How do we distinguish which messages to follow and which to ignore? I'm glad you asked. One thing I need to tell you is bright and shiny can also be blinding. That's very important. You know bright and shiny objects, right? But they can be blinding, and they usually are. It only takes about an hour of being online to realize that there are bright, shiny objects all around us that exist for only one purpose: to pull our attention away from what we're doing to achieve our own goals and put us on a path to achieve the goals of the individual or organization that made that bright and shiny thing. If you're new to the world of business, especially online business, then you might need to follow more of these little bright, shiny objects than a seasoned entrepreneurs. But there is one habit that will ensure you have the ability to actually become a seasoned entrepreneur, and that's learning how to determine which objects to follow and which to allow pass you by. I made reference a minute ago to the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. The first thing we need to know in order to truly assess whether or not those magic beans are worth the distraction to dive into their uses, benefits, and cost is whether or not they actually align with our goal right now. As I mentioned, Jack's true goal is adventure. Is that your goal? Probably not. Your goal is probably something like this: I want to create and run a sustainable, scalable, profitable business that affords me the freedom and flexibility to fill in the blank. You can fill in that blank with whatever reason you've come up with if you're crazy enough to become an entrepreneur. And if you're anything like me, you love learning. I sincerely hope that is why you picked this podcast. I sincerely hope. And someone who loves learning is the perfect target for every online course or webinar or free workshop that sounds remotely interesting and might help you get where you want to go. But please do me a favor and remove that bullseye target that is your pointer on your mouse and pause before clicking next time. Every one of the amazing free things you sign up for by giving your email address or your Facebook Messenger approval must be put to a very strict test before you sign up. If you want to jump to the test, here we go, because it's coming right up. But remember, as in all things, there are no shortcuts to success. So there's a lot more you have to think about before you actually apply that test. You might be like me, however, and want to know the destination before you learn about and determine the route you're taking to get there. So here we go. All right. I'm going to tell you this test that I use now to determine which messages I actually follow and reply to, which messages I open and reply to. And I'm being rhetorical, people, right? You know, you're understanding I'm not talking about actual email messages or messenger messages. I'm talking about the messages we receive every day to do something beyond what we're there to do, especially online, right? So you know that. But what you need to think about is who is really the one that's benefiting most from this message. And I'll go into that in more detail in just a sec. But here is your test, okay? The word reply, okay? Each letter. Just like we know power, I have a power morning routine, right? Peace, openness, who, what, why, exercise, and reading. All right. And if you don't know what that is, go to the site parententrepreneurssuccess.com and just look up Power Morning, and you'll find a blog post and a video that go along with that. So just like that, I have this acronym, REPLY. So when you get a message, let's say you're online and you see this amazing course by blankety blank guru that is only $49.99. If you download it now and get this free gift, and then you can actually get it for only $7 because it's just for you and it's only for the next 30 minutes, right? You know what I'm talking about. You have to determine whether that is the direction you need to go. And you do it with the acronym REPLY. All right? And that acronym REPLY stands for the R. Okay? The R means you ask yourself, is it right now? R, right now? Is this something that's required to get me where I need to go? Is it required right now? And if it's not, put it aside. Stick it in your Evernote. Make a file for someday. Make a file for, later, next week, whatever. I don't care. Is it right now? The R, reply. Right now? Question mark. All right? That's the first question. You might want it. That's great. But do you have to do it right now? And a couple of other things coming up will help you determine if right now is really true. E for reply. The E. Can you explain the value of this thing, this message, to someone who doesn't like Kool-Aid? Right? You know what I'm talking about. Someone who is not in your world, and if you message every time going, oh my gosh, do you believe so-and-so is doing this? Right? Every time B School comes around, everybody comes out the woodwork. Oh my gosh, B School's here. Oh my gosh. And everybody starts going back and forth. Oh, do you think I should do it? Oh, yes. We're all in the same world, right? All of our friends, or the people online that we relate to, are excited about the same things we are. So can you explain it to someone else who's not in that world? If you can explain it to them and they go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Yeah, that's another test. So right now, and can you explain it to someone who doesn't like Kool-Aid? The P, analyze the profit you think you're going to get from learning this new thing or doing this new thing versus the time investment, because time is our most precious commodity. Nothing else. Time. No matter what, it's going to take time. So is it right now? Can you explain it to someone who doesn't like Kool-Aid? And what's the profit versus the time investment by doing this or replying to this message? The L, is it going to level up? How far? So is this new thing going to help you level up? And if so, how far? Is it just an inch up or is it 10 feet? How far are you going to level up with this? And after you've answered the REPL, the Y is if you've gotten a yes for all those things right now, and the person you can explain it to that doesn't like Kool-Aid says, well, yeah, that's really cool. That sounds important. And the profit is higher than the time investment, and it's going to level you up pretty darn good. Then the Y is yes or hell no. One of those two. Okay, there's your reply. And that's what I look at now for everything I do. Is it right now? Can I explain it to someone who doesn't know what I'm talking about or isn't as excited as I am about it, right? Does the profit make sense for the time that I'm investing? Is it really going to level me up? And if so, how far? And then it's a yes or a hell no. Okay? Now, let me say one more thing about this, because I mentioned this a minute ago about the messages we receive. And one of the most important questions you want to ask yourself is who really benefits from this message? Think about that. Jeff Walker, product launch formula. I see him every year. Everybody comes out with the same courses every year. They just keep trying to do them again or adding new things. And they're awesome. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? Who is really benefiting from that? Who is benefiting from that message? And you're the only one that can answer that for yourself. Really, some of the messages we get only benefit the messenger, not the receiver. And so you need to really think about who the thing you're being presented with, really, who is it benefiting? Most of the messages we get, we may not be ready to receive. We either don't have the experience. So let's say Jeff Walker's product launch formula. If you don't even have a product that you've thought of yet, and you're just starting out your business, you probably shouldn't invest in or even waste any time watching those free videos, right? There's a lot of other stuff you have to do before you get to that. So most of the messages we're really not ready to receive, but we think we are, or we think, wow, that's really cool, and everybody else is watching it, and we've got 5 other messages from 5 gurus we're following for the same thing. So it must be really important. But remember, all those gurus are affiliates of that particular product. So that doesn't matter. Does it help you right now? And if you don't have the experience, if you're not at that level yet, then pass it by. Sometimes we're not ready to receive that message because we don't really have the knowledge yet, the previous knowledge that it takes, or we don't have the instinct to know its potential yet. And if you don't, and it just looks cool, then pass it by. And sometimes we're not ready to receive the message, not just because the gurus are feeding us Kool-Aid, but because we're also ruled by fear, because we might have too much fear around it. And if that's the case, come talk to me on Facebook, baby, because we got to talk. Mindset is what it's all about. Every decision you make, every task is leading you somewhere. And action is much better than no action. But targeted, specific, intentional action is that's the kind of action that helps you grow faster and more strategically. That's what you want to do. Targeted action is not chasing the next shiny thing. Targeted action is knowing what's in front of you and accepting it and putting to that reply test to see if it's really something you need to do right now. Now, I did that. And you know this already because I've mentioned it to you, so I don't want to bore you with all the details. But when I got that email from Andrew Warner in my inbox, he said, hey, come to this webinar about this new messenger thing. I went, that sounds cool. Signed up for the webinar with no intention of going, but went anyway. And it changed my life. That message changed my life. After that, because I embraced it and it was at the exact right time, I had the exact right previous experience to know what I could do with this, what I could do with Messenger. If I hadn't gone through everything I had gone through for the last 14 years, I would not have been in the place to be able to capitalize on this whole messenger tool. But I was, and I did have those experiences, so I was able to capitalize on it. And people, Power Parents, it has been the ride of my life so far, and I know it will only be more fun and more profitable and more helpful to so many businesses. I can only hope that you have the same kind of message that hits you right at the right time with the right knowledge that you have previously so that you can capitalize on that message. Put it to the reply test. I dare you. Put it to the reply test. Is it right now? Can you explain it to someone who doesn't like Kool-Aid? Is the profit higher than the time investment you're going to have to make? Is it going to level you up? And if so, how far? And is it a yes or a hell no? All right, that's it. That is the message. I'll go into a lot more detail. As I say, I'm writing this book. This is just kind of an overview of what this book is going to be about. But I'm going to have lots of examples of podcast guests that have been on this show that have told me all of these kinds of things and given me examples of how these things have impacted their lives. So I hope you look for it sometime in the near future. Hopefully within the next 90 days, I'll be done with it. And then we'll be on the track for editing and publishing, hopefully by the beginning of the year. That's a realistic goal. I could say, by the holidays, but it ain't happening. There's too much else going on. There's no way I'm going to kill myself off for the book. But I hope I get to share with you snippets of it and give you more information as I keep writing. But that, I just had to tell you. Did you get the message? And are you replying? And if so, I want to hear about it. I hope you just go on to Facebook, look me up, go to Messenger Funnels on Facebook. I have a page there. Just chat with me and let me know what you're doing. And if you got a particular message and if you're replying, I would love to know. But in the meantime, you know how I always end it. Enjoy the journey. To get powered up for your day, just go to parententrepreneur.power.com and listen to any one of the over 100 episodes we've had so far with amazing entrepreneurs just like you. It might just help you feel like a grown-up again.